Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Will the Swansea Council on Aging offers various activities and services presented by volunteers and nominally paid practitioners. Participants do so with the understanding that the Town of Swansea, its COA, and employees do not assume legal or other responsibility for advice or services rendered. The Swansea Council on Aging is pleased to welcome and introduce Richard Rigo, the Town Fire and Life Safety Educator. Today, he'll be conducting a safety program on fall and fire prevention.
Okay, the pictures on the screen are going to be a little bit small, but not to worry because the pamphlets that I passed out to you covers the exact same thing that's in the slides. So if you wanted to go along with that, you can see it's all in here as well. Okay, so.
Speak into the microphone.
Yeah, just this. All right, everybody hear me fine? All right, good. All right. So I've done this program here in the past before. We did this, was it last year, I think, maybe the year before we came in. How many people came before and sorry, I see some familiar faces. Okay, good, a bunch of new people. And the program was updated last year in October. We've been doing this fire and fall prevention program for about 15 years now. On and off different places. We've done it here, we do it down at Mountain Court, we've done it at Oakwood Senior Estates. And what's unique about this presentation is it covers two very important safety messages when it comes to our older population, and that's fires and falls. Okay, some of the high numbers that we see in fire deaths occur in people over 65 years old, and lots of things come into play. We move a little bit slower, some people may have some handicap issues, some access issues, and then when it comes to falling, we know what happens when we fall. We have the risk of breaking a hip, and when we break a hip, then we're in the hospital, we lose our sense of mobility, our way to get around, and then worse, death is always a possibility. So we try to prevent these things as much as possible, and this program covers both of those in easy steps. So we're going to go through 8 messages about fire safety, 8 messages about fall safety. I'm going to give a bunch of information out to you as we go along. The pamphlets, you can go along with the pamphlets with the screen. It might be a little out of order, but we'll figure it all out. All right, so we're going to start first with fire prevention, and that's going to be the pamphlet that's got green on the bottom, not the yellow one, and it says how to prevent fires. All right, so let's see if the screen goes to where it's supposed to go, which this slide is not going to be in your pamphlet. However, at age 65, older adults are twice as likely to be killed or injured by fires compared to the population at large. Okay? So at 75, that risk increases to 3 times the general population and to 4 times by age 85. So at 85 years old or older, you have a 4 times better chance of dying in a fire than the rest of the population. Okay? Those numbers are also high in very young children as well, when we talk about under 3 years old. There's obviously infants, someone who can't walk yet, there's a chance of, they can't self-escape during a fire. So those numbers are high in children, it's higher in adults. We do a very in-depth, comprehensive fire safety program in our schools. We do a 5-week fire safety program in the elementary schools. So by the time a student goes through elementary school, they've already had 15 weeks of fire safety before they enter the junior high. So they've covered a lot. We don't cover fall safety, but we cover lots of different fire safety topics, from burns to escape plans, smoke detectors and carbon monoxide detectors. They'll know how to maintain them. They'll know all those fire safety aspects by the time they're even out of elementary school. Okay? So fires and burns are not only hazards that threaten our older citizens. Statistics tell us that the leading cause of death from unintentional injuries is falls. Okay, slips and falls. Show of hands, how many people have taken a digger at home? Fallen. Okay, a few of you. And it's not by age, because I've fallen at home. It's just being a little bit careless, or being a little bit too quick. Okay, so it happens. We want to try to prevent those things from happening. And these slides today are going to cover a lot of those topics. All right, most of the falls that happen are accidental. Okay, we tripped on something, we had something in the way, we didn't move something, the cat ran in front of us, whatever it was. caused this to fall, and hopefully it didn't result in an injury. Okay, so we're going to focus on fire safety first. I'm going to skip by that slide there, but if, you know, it's kind of hard to see from there, but you can see how the blue line in the middle represents the death rate of over 65 in fires compared to the rest of the population. You can see how much it spikes. Okay, so we'll skip by and go to our first fire safety message. Okay, the very first one, smoking. Okay, this is one of those slides that it doesn't affect everybody here in the audience, because if there's no one in your house who smokes, or no one that visits your house smokes, then this hazard doesn't exist in your house. Okay? If you have someone at home who smokes, or if you smoke, there's a bunch of things you want to keep in mind. All common sense. All this fire safety information is common sense. We learn that sometimes that common sense is not all that common, right? So with smoking, if you smoke, it's safer to smoke outside. Okay, that's the safest place to smoke. You're reducing that fire hazard inside your house by smoking outside. Even smoking outside has its hazards. You want to make sure that you properly dispose of any of your smoking material. That's completely out. That you don't just toss it out into the street or toss it out onto the sidewalk. We've had numerous fires here in town at people's houses. They were outside smoking, threw their cigarette down, they got their mulch burning around their landscaping. Before you know it, the shingles are burning on the side of the house and the fire department's there to put it out. Okay, so smoking is a hazard. The leading cause of fire deaths in the United States is the careless use and disposal of smoking materials. Okay, electrical fires is the leading cause of fires. However, the leading cause of fire deaths is the careless use and disposal of smoking materials. So you think everybody here in this room uses electricity, right? Yes. Not everybody has people who smoke, and you see how that hazard still kills more people than electrical fires. Okay, so you want to make sure if you're using ashtrays, you want a nice, deep, sturdy ashtray. You know, it's funny, I went out, it's not funny, I'm actually kind of happy about this, but I went out to try to find an ashtray to use as a demonstration. I couldn't find an ashtray for sale at a store. That's good, okay? But, a couple props here. This is not an ashtray. How many people have seen this used as an ashtray? All right, you fill it up with some water. Okay, many times. All right. This is an Ocean Grove ashtray. Right? Cobalt shell. How many times have you seen these? Right, out on a picnic table. All right, these are not ashtrays. They're not made for that. I mean, put water in the cup. It's a lot safer than obviously not using the water. Okay, but you want to have a nice, deep, sturdy ashtray, thick glass ashtray. And I'm thinking I'm eventually going to come across one at like Salvation Army or something like that. I'm going to shop it and I'll pick one up. But I can remember, you know, years back when, you know, people in my family had smoked, they always had those big, thick glass ashtrays that weighed like 17 pounds. You know, that's what you want, something nice and sturdy. That way, if you put, you know, you're smoking, you're reading a magazine or something, you drop it down on the table, you don't hit that, you know, tip it over, and then, you know, there's still something smoldering in there, and then off the bed you go, and that's sitting there. So when you're done smoking, you want to make sure you completely put that out. Before bed, make sure you put some water in that sturdy ashtray, swirl it around, make sure the fire is completely extinguished in there. Sometimes a cigarette can fall on a couch. Let's say you have a bunch of people over the house, you have a party, somebody's smoking, somebody hits somebody, a little piece falls on the couch. That cigarette could actually smolder there for hours, if not days, before it can free flame and become a fire. Okay? A lot of times that may happen overnight. People will have a party, everybody goes to bed, everybody cleans up, go to bed, and that thing has been smoldering there on the couch, and then before you know it, it takes off at 3 o'clock in the morning, and now you have a fire. Okay, so you got to be very careful when people smoke. Okay? So be sure to wet those cigarette butts and ashes before throwing them out. Never smoke in bed. Okay? Never smoke in bed, never smoke when you're drowsy, or if you're taking new medications and you smoke, make sure that medication doesn't affect you, make you dizzy or make you tired before you're going to kind of start smoking again. So keep that in mind. All right? And if you're on oxygen or anyone in the home is on oxygen, there should be no smoking at all in the house. There's no safe way to smoke in a house with oxygen. Okay, I have a pamphlet there that I'll pass out at the end that talks about home oxygen, if you're using oxygen at home. But in 26 years on the fire department, I've been to a bunch of fires in houses that started because the people were smoking and on oxygen. Okay, and some of them could have been really bad. Okay, but luckily it didn't turn out to be too serious of a situation. Okay, so number 2. Any questions as we go along? Please raise your hand. I don't like to wait to the end. If something piques the interest, just raise your hand. All right, let's see, number 2. No, which one have you? There we go. Okay, space heaters. How many people have a space heater at home? Winter time. Beautiful. Nice. I think they should be outlawed, but that's me. Space heaters are okay if they're used properly. Okay, if you have a space, if you're using a space heater, let's say you have a room in the house that's a little bit cool, it's winter time, you want to keep the heat down a little bit, if you want to keep one room a little bit warm, you can get a space heater. With space heaters, make sure you do your research before you buy them. Look at them. There is junk out there on the market, and there are good ones. Okay? If you find a space heater that costs $5.99, it's a $5.99 space heater. Okay? You want a couple things you want to look at with space heaters. Make sure they have either a high temperature shutoff or a tip over feature, where if somebody knocked the space heater over from the way it's normally sitting, it shuts itself off. Okay, that's important when someone's got the space heater set up at home, they're watching TV, they're on their couch, maybe they got a blanket on, they got a little space heater set up there, and they fall asleep. The blanket falls down on top of the space heater. They do a big turn, they do a little twist and turn, the blanket falls off, it lands on that space heater. That space heater indicates that heat is getting, if it's getting a lot hotter because it's covered, it will shut itself down. Or if you go out, you forget that the space heater is plugged in, you go out shopping, you got your dog at the house, it walks around, it gets tangled up in the cord, it tips the space heater over onto the carpet. If it doesn't have that tip over feature, it's going to be running and right onto the carpet or up against a piece of furniture. This way, if it's tipped over, it will shut itself off. That's all going to be explained on the package when you're looking at the box. Read on the back of the box all the safety features that it has. Okay, the other key thing with space heaters is you want to give them space. Okay, at least 3 feet away from anything that burns. Okay, so if I had a space heater plugged in the wall here, I would want to have at least 3 feet away from the wall, 3 feet away from everything. Okay, that's the safety zone. I mean, you don't have to sit out there exactly with a tape measure and get exactly 3 feet. Okay, put your arm out. That's about 3 feet. You got about 3 feet of clearance around your space heater. That's going to be safe. Anything that can burn, that's furniture, blankets, the magazines or newspapers piled on the side of the counter. Okay, be careful. Never use your space heater with an extension cord. Okay, space heaters usually all come with a cord that's at least 3 feet or longer, so that it can be 3 feet away from the wall that it's plugged into. If you need to plug an extension cord into to get your space heater somewhere, don't use it. Okay? Space heaters pull a tremendous amount of electricity. If you don't have a cord that's strong enough for it, the cord could have an issue. Okay? You can either throw a circuit breaker because it's calling for too much power, or you can actually cause damage to the cord. Okay? So you want to make sure you have at least 3 feet of clearance and that they are completely shut off before you go to bed and before you leave the house. Okay? If you have a hard time remembering if you got it on or off, get a little note, put it on the door, space heater. And before you leave, you go out, ooh, my space heater, it's still plugged in. I do it all the time, that's my wife. I put notes on the door all the time to remember as I'm walking out to get something. Like, oh, don't forget this, don't forget that. And it's just a simple reminder. All right? So, any questions on the space heaters? All right. Okay, number 3. Again, these are in your pamphlet, so if you want to kind of move along there. Okay, cooking. This is our big one. This is a lot of responses for the fire department, is cooking mishaps. And most of the time they don't end up being anything serious, but every once in a while they do. With cooking in the kitchen, what we see when we respond to those things is people started cooking, doing something, and they forgot they had it on the stove, or they weren't staying with it. We've had people put something in the oven, they put a pot roast in the oven, and their friend calls, let's go shopping. All right, off they go, and they forget it's in the oven. And then smoke detectors go off, the fire alarm comes in, off we go, and pull the roast out of the oven. Sometimes your smoke detector will go off because you were just doing some normal cooking. Maybe you were making some toast, you burnt it a little bit, you made some smoke, the smoke detector goes off. It's not a fire, okay, it's just you burnt some toast. However, that smoke detector did what it was supposed to do. It detected smoke and it sounded the alarm. Okay, so if you're cooking, be sure you stay in the kitchen while you're cooking. If you're going to go into the other room, take something with you to remind you that I have water on the stove or I have, something in the oven. You're cooking in the kitchen, put something on the stove, you're making some hot-boiled eggs, you put them on the stove, and then you go out in the other room and there's something on TV and you start watching it, and then before you know it, you sit on the couch and you're watching it and this and that, and now that the water's boiling down, and before you know it, the eggs are burning. When you walk out of the kitchen, bring something with you. Take a dish towel with you, hold it in your hand. So when you're watching TV, you're like, so I get something in the kitchen. Again, little reminders, little reminders.
I don't carry something, but I always set the timer.
That was my next
It
thing.
will not, that timer will not stop until I come to shut it off, especially for the weather, because I would just say.
Exactly.
Yeah.
The timer is the other thing, whether you get a regular timer where you just turn it and set it for every 5 minutes if you're going to be out. Come back in and then, okay, check everything that's good, set it again for another 5 minutes. Or if you have the timer on the stove, like I said, it's not going to stop beeping until you acknowledge it and stop it. So again, those are all different kinds of reminders. Whatever works for you. I like Post-it notes. Okay, but if you, whatever works for you is just a way to remember. It's very easy to forget. I forget a lot of things. Quiet. Okay, and it's easy to do. And this is not just limited to our older population. This happens everywhere. We go to lots of cooking mishaps, and most of the time it was carelessness. Okay, I forgot I had something on the stove, or the other thing too is if you do have a fire in the stove, keep in mind that fire needs fuel, heat, and air to survive. If you have a fire in your oven, okay, you have something in the oven, the turkey's in the oven, it's Thanksgiving, whatever, and the thing catches fire. Best thing to do, shut the oven off, keep the door closed. What happens when we open the door? We give it air, okay? If that food is burning in the oven, you keep the door closed, eventually that fire is going to eat up the oxygen that's in there, and it's going to die down. It's not going to go out completely. You want to shut it off, call the fire department. Okay, we'll come down. We'll be able to, usually you can open up the stove real quick, give it a little squirt with the dry chemical fire extinguisher, knock it down, remove the food, check, make sure the oven's good. This happens a lot with the self-cleaning ovens. How many people have that self-cleaning oven where you lock it, it goes to very high temperature? Well, before you use your self-cleaning oven, try to scrape as much of the junk out of the bottom as you can. Because people think that they can have that much junk at the bottom and the self-cleaning oven takes care of it. Well, it will, because it's going to set it all on fire. And we get a lot of those, and what happens is that the oven locks, and you can't unlock it, neither can we. So when we get there, we end up having to take the whole stove out of the house, because it's so hot, we can't unlock it to get into it, we have to let it cool down outside. Okay? So if you're going to use your self-cleaning feature, make sure you clean as much stuff out of the bottom as you can first, because that's going to go to such a high temperature that it incinerates everything. So if you have some drippings in there and stuff like that, that's what it's designed for. But if you have solid pieces of food, like you made some French fries and they fell into the bottom, clean them out first before you use that self-cleaning feature, because it's going to catch fire. Okay, but just again, keep that door closed. If you're cooking on the stove top, okay, you're maybe heating up some oil to make some French fries or whatever, you have a fire in the pan. How are we going to put that fire out? Say that again?
The lid on it.
The lid, good. Any other way that we can do that? Put that fire out safely? Baking soda, what else?
Salt.
Salt? Okay, all right. I don't know how much salt you keep in your kitchen, but mine's getting terrible. All right? And, where's your baking soda? I know where it is. In the back of the fridge, behind everything, right? And I guarantee you, when you dump it out, it's going to be a solid block of baking soda. Okay? The first answer was the right answer. We want to put the cover on the pan. Okay, again, what did we say fire needed? Oxygen. Here's a frying pan. All right? Again, a couple things with the frying pan. I'm not just going to talk about how we put the fire out, but we're going to talk about just general safety with cooking as well. With the pan on the stove, so here's the stove here, and we're cooking, we have the burner. We always want to make sure that our handles are facing in. Okay, I'll talk a little bit louder so everyone can. We want to make sure that handle is facing in. If it's facing out like this, then we have the potential to walk into it and tip it over. Worst case scenario, you got little kids at the house, you got a little 3-year-old walks by the kitchen, sees this handle sticking up, reaches it, grabs it, and pulls it down out. Okay? It happens all the time. Okay? Happens all the time. This is so easy to prevent that burn by just going like that. Okay? Very simple. Now, if you have the fire on the pan, let's say it catches fire, you want to make sure you have the cover nearby. Even if you're not using, normally you don't use the cover for whatever, let's say you're frying some eggs, you don't use the cover, take the cover out of the cabinet and have it nearby. So that way, if there is something, you can take the cover, use it as a shield, slide it on top, that fire's going to knock right down because you've taken the air away, then shut the burners off, okay, let it cool down. If you have a concern, you're not too sure it's safe enough, dial 911, call the fire department, we'll come out and take a look at it. Okay? It doesn't cost you anything to call the fire department. The fire department shows up at your house at 3 o'clock in the afternoon, or if we show up at 3 o'clock in the morning, doesn't matter. You're not going to get a bill in the mail because we came. Okay, you're paying taxes, that's gives you your fire protection. So if you're not too sure if the fire's out completely, give us a call. We'll come down, we'll look, make sure everything's good. Everything's cool, we'll say, okay, great. Be a little bit safer cooking next time. We'll see you, hopefully never again. So keep that in mind. If you have a fire on the stove and you're not too sure if it's out, call the fire department. Same thing with the oven.
You made a good point last year too. Don't try to walk with the pan.
Exactly. Anytime that pan is on fire, leave it where it is. If you don't think it's completely out, even if it's not out and it's extending, get out of the house, dial 911, let the fire department come in and put the fire out. Okay? But you want to make sure that you have the cover that fits the pan, or a cover that's bigger, so that way you can just cover that up. Okay? Take the oxygen away from the fire, put the fire out. Okay? So, any questions on that? Also with cooking, we want to make sure that we're wearing tight-fitting clothing when we cook. You don't want to get up in the morning with the long nightgown on, with the long sleeves hanging like a wizard, and then you're cooking and that gets close to the flame. All right, we want to wear either short sleeve shirts or clothing that fits tight to our body. That's the safest thing to wear when cooking. Okay? If you're concerned about cooking, you're scared about cooking, don't cook. Have someone else cook for you. Get some prepared meals. Do something. Have someone come and cook several meals for a few days that you can easily heat up in the microwave or something like that. If you don't feel safe cooking around the stove anymore, don't use it. Okay? Don't use it. Don't cook if you're drowsy. If it's late at night, again, that's when it's easy to forget we have something on the stove. It's easy to be a little bit more careless if we've either been up late, we're drowsy, maybe on a new medication that we're not too sure about yet. Maybe a little of that. We want to be careful. All right? So continuing on kind of with the cooking thing, we talked about the short sleeves and so on. We talked about stop, drop, and roll. Okay, when do we stop, drop, and roll? Does anybody know? When our clothing is on fire. Okay? And again, back to the pan, back to the oven. When we roll over the fire, what are we taking away from it? Oxygen. Okay? So if clothing were to catch on fire, we want to stop exactly where we are. We want to stop, we want to drop down to the ground, we want to cover our face, we want to roll back and forth. The diagram is right there in the pamphlet. Okay, by covering your face, you're keeping your arms straight against your body, you're making yourself nice and straight, it's easier to roll back and forth. If someone is in a wheelchair or something like that and their clothing catches on fire, they're not able to stop, drop, and roll. You can assist them several ways. One, if it's possible to get them out of the chair and onto the floor and assist them in the rolling, or you can get a heavy tight blanket or something that you can get over that fire to help take the oxygen away from it. Remember, you got to do something. You got to intervene somehow, whether it's a stop, drop, and roll, whether it's putting a blanket around them. Okay, keep that in mind. It's easy to prevent that. Don't have the clothing that's hanging down near the fire. Okay. Where's my dish towels at over there?
Can we see how it's done, stop, drop, and roll?
Okay, why? My son will show you
Okay.
how it's done. All right, right over there. So we stop. Obviously, we see the fire, wherever it is. We're going to stop what we're doing. We're going to drop to the ground. Cover your face. And you're going to roll back and forth until the fire's out. Good job. Once the fire is out, or even if it's still smoldering, you immediately want to remove that burned clothing. Okay? If you do have a burn, you want to get cool water on that burn, stop that burning process. If that burn is any bigger than about the center of the palm of your hand, you need to get that checked out. Call 911, have them come and check. Make sure that that is not a serious burn, or if it is serious, that it gets medical attention. Burns get infected very easily, okay? And we know at our age that a burn that might be okay on someone who's in their 30s might be a little bit more serious for someone your age. So again, with the cooking, this is a dish towel, right? How many people have done this?
Yep.
My wife, since she got burned, and I remind her about it all the time. Okay? We do this all the time, don't we? You took a bath and shower this morning. When you got out of the bathtub, did you do this? No. This is an oven mitt. That's towel. This is for cleaning up spills, wiping things down. This is for moving the pan. Okay, this is for moving the pan. What's nice about an oven mitt is you have protection up here as well. A lot of times, we'll take something out of the oven. How many times have you taken a pan out of the oven with an oven mitt like this, and you burn right here because you hit the rack? Okay, this is still safe because it's an oven mitt. Okay, this is a little bit better. Gives you a little bit more dexterity too because you can use your thumb easier. All right. So I brought a few different giveaways today, but it's not going to be easy to get them because what I'm going to do is I like to throw a little bit of trivia in once in a while. So this trivia is kind of based on a bunch of different things, some TV history, some world history, some music things, not from now, but from a little bit back when. Something that some of you guys should remember. So I'm going to do a television and a movie question first. And let's see what we get for answers. If you get a right answer, you get an oven mitt. All right. So, who can name the 3 lead actors in the movie Guess Who's Coming to Dinner?
Sidney Poitier, what's his face, Spencer Tracy, and Patrick.
Good. You named all 3.
I don't think what's his
You
face.
gotta share the net.
You just got to go to her house and cook. There you go. So, you got an oven mitt. Let's see. All right, what television show featured a couple who was married in real life, but living in the same apartment building with their best friends and landlords in Manhattan?
Oh.
There you go. There's your oven mitt. I love Lucy. Yeah.
I was thinking honeymoon.
All right, last one here. This is not, I don't have any more oven mitts, but I got one of those things that you use to take the capsule off.
I love those things.
Yeah. When I go to fire safety conferences, I like hoard all those free samples. So, okay, so in 1940, Hattie McDaniel was the first black person to win an Oscar. She won Best Supporting Actress for her role as Mammy in what movie? Great hand. What movie? Anybody? What movie? What was it? Gone with the Wind.
Hey, good job.
Everybody remembers the more popular line in that movie, right?
Who was it?
Scarlet. All right. I got more stuff in there, don't worry. We'll continue on. Those must be cheap to give as promotions because I got tons of those rubber things to open it up. All right. Continue on now. Any questions with the cooking? All right. That's the slide that was on the board. Right? There we go. Smoke detectors. Now, some of you live in an apartment complex. Maybe a place like Ocean Cove down the street over here, Oakwood Senior Estates, Mountain Fort. Okay, the fire alarm systems there are maintained by maintenance personnel, maintained by the building owners. If you live at home, okay, your smoke detectors and carbon monoxide detectors are going to be your responsibility to take care of. Make sure that they're properly working, that the batteries are changed regularly, that the smoke detectors and carbon monoxide detectors are kept up to date. Okay, you need to have a smoke detector on every level of your home. So basement, first floor, second floor. Okay, it's important to have them in every bedroom as well. Some of us, the older we get a little bit hard of hearing. We want to make sure that we can hear those smoke detectors from every part of our house. So if we have a smoke detector out in the hallway, but we sleep with our bedroom door closed, that smoke detector goes off at 2 o'clock in the morning. We want to make sure we can hear that. If we can't hear that, we want to make sure we install a smoke detector in our bedroom as well. The more the merrier. All right? I have a smoke detector with me here. I've got a couple different types. This is not a lot of money. Okay, you can go to any department store or home improvement store and pick up a smoke detector like this for about $6. Okay, we recommend that smoke detectors be changed every 10 years. So if you have a smoke detector in your house that you know is older than 10 years, get them replaced. Okay, that's about the life of them.
Even the hardwired ones?
The detector itself, 10 years. The thing is the sensing equipment inside is what gets old. Most smoke detectors run on a little bit of radioactive material. Okay, that's what actually gives its power, other than the battery. That the battery pretty much is what operates the alarm system, the sound. Okay, but that material can lose sensitivity over time. The fact that it's up on your ceiling, you get cooking residue that can build up on it. If people in the house smoke, you get the nicotine build up on it, just dust over time, and it gets old like anything else. So every 10 years we want to replace our smoke detectors. If your smoke detector runs on a battery, okay, like a 9-volt battery, these batteries need to be replaced twice a year. Okay, twice a year. Good time to replace them. We tell people, when you change your clocks, change the batteries in your smoke detector. It's a good time to remember. We run around, we change all our clocks in the spring and the fall, okay, change the batteries in your smoke detector. You can go out, pick up a package of them, and have them ready, and then if you're concerned about climbing up and doing it, don't do it. You know, if you have grandchildren, or you have some, your regular children can come over and change that for you, fine. If you're concerned about reaching up and changing it, call the fire department. We'll be glad to go down there and change that battery out for you. Okay, whether it's a fire inspector when he's out doing his regular inspections, can stop by, we'll send the fire truck down there, whatever, and we'll change the battery for you. Okay, so if you have some new batteries and you want to change up, give us a call. Okay, it's not a big deal. We'd rather see that smoke detector working and operating properly, so that if you need it late at night for a fire, that is going to work. Okay, so this one here runs on a 9-volt battery. Okay, to make sure that's working, they have a test button on it. So you press that test button, okay, we'll see if it beeps.
Oh dear.
Okay?
Man, if that don't wake up anybody.
Everybody's awake.
Okay, so I tested that test button. The battery has got enough power, the smoke detector sounded. We want to make sure we test this once a month. Okay, so we're going to change the batteries twice a year, but we're going to test this once a month. Okay? Now, if you live in an apartment building, like I said, like at Oakwood or one of those places, okay, you don't want to test that smoke detector unless you check with maintenance first. Okay, if you test that smoke detector, it could send the alarm into the fire department, then the fire department's going to come. Okay, a lot of those detectors don't have a test option on them because they're a hardwired system. It's tested from within the fire panel box, not individual detectors. There's a problem with the detector, the fire department will know, it will send a signal. Okay, but this is just a single station battery operated smoke detector. You can test this at home on your own. This is not tied into the fire department. It doesn't send us a signal. You would have to call and tell us there's a fire. Okay, so these only work when that's in it and it's hooked up. Okay, if this gives you a nuisance alarm, let's say you're cooking, every time you cook it goes off. Okay, a couple things. One, it's probably too close to the kitchen. We don't want to have smoke detectors in the kitchen or too close to the kitchen because we tend to get those false alarms. And when we get the false alarms, we tend to do this. And this doesn't work anymore. Again, you know the post-it note? You do that, take it out, put a note on your pillow. Battery, or put the battery on your pillow. So before you go to bed, you remember, oh, that's right, I gotta put that back in. Okay? Because this is not gonna work tonight if there's a fire when the battery's sitting over here. Okay? How many people have a carbon monoxide alarm in their house? Carbon monoxide detector. Okay, a few of you. Okay. Carbon monoxide detectors are important as well. Carbon monoxide is a gas that is what we call a silent killer. We can't smell it, we can't see it, we can't taste it in the air. We don't know it's there. Okay. If you have a faulty furnace, and every time it kicks on, let's say you have a crack in the furnace, in the chimney, or the problem with the furnace, and every time it's running, it could be giving off that carbon monoxide gas. The problem with carbon monoxide is when we breathe it in, it attaches to our blood cells 200 times better than oxygen does. And after a while, it will displace oxygen in our blood, and that's what can cause damage. Okay, too much carbon monoxide can cause death. So when somebody calls the fire department and says, oh, my carbon monoxide detector is beeping, the first thing we ask them is everyone in the house feeling okay? Okay, does anybody have a headache? Anybody not feeling well, feeling nauseous, kind of flu-like system, the symptoms? And if everybody says, no, everybody's fine, and we just came home and it's beeping, all right, fire department's gonna go out there. We don't go down there with lights and sirens. We just take our time, go down there, and we have a meter that we can test the air. And we check for carbon monoxide. So if we go in the house and it's reading 0, then we know we're not getting that carbon monoxide. The detector may be sounding. So So we'll turn on the furnace, we'll turn on the hot water heater, we'll turn on the stove, anything that's going to produce carbon dioxide, and check and make sure everything's operating properly. Okay? Sometimes it might just be a bad detector. If we've gotten 0 readings through the house, there's no carbon dioxide, then obviously that's not what set it off. It's probably a bad detector. Now, I said you had to change smoke detectors every 10 years, but carbon monoxide detectors are every 7. Okay, every 7 years. The nice thing about the new carbon monoxide detectors is after 7 years, they put themselves out of service anyway. Okay? When these beep, they have a series of beeps. If it's a long, continuous alarm, that's giving you the indication that there could be carbon monoxide. However, if it gives you one beep every 30 seconds, just beep, 30 seconds longer, you hear it again, beep, that's telling you that the batteries need replacing, so you put new batteries in. Okay? If it beeps 4 times in a row, beep, 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 then does it again 30 seconds again, that's telling you that there's a problem with the detector itself. And then if it goes 5 times, this specific model, if it goes 5 times, it's telling you it's reached the end of its life. Get rid of it. Okay? So they all have a date of manufacture on the back. This one here was manufactured July 12, 2008. So 7 years from now, from 2008, is when it should be replaced. Okay? Take it down. It's not going to work anymore. It's going to send you an alarm in 7 years. And we're going to go there because it's going to say alarm's going off. We're going to go there, we're going to pull it down and say, yeah, it's the end of its life, get a new one. Now, this is a carbon monoxide detector. It's also a smoke detector as well. This is what we call a combination. This just did smoke. This won't do anything for carbon monoxide. But this does both. When you have a combination detector, it needs to tell you which one is giving you an alarm, whether it's smoke or it's carbon monoxide, because you're just going to hear a beeping sound. But if you listen to this one here, when I test it, so that beep is the fire alarm. And then you hear it again. So do you hear the difference between the 2 alarms? The smoke detector was the long beeps, beep, beep. That was fire. But if you're not too sure, it's got to tell you. So the combination units will talk and tell you fire or carbon monoxide. Okay? There's also carbon monoxide detectors that are just a carbon monoxide detector. There's types that plug into the wall. This one here is made to go on the ceiling only because it has a smoke detector in it. Okay, smoke detectors have to be placed by law on the ceiling. They can't be mounted on the wall. They have to be on the ceiling. Carbon monoxide detectors, however, can be on a wall. Carbon monoxide gas is only slightly heavier than air, so if it's in the room, it's going to be everywhere. Okay, it'll tend to be accumulated a little bit closer to the floor, but even if it's on the ceiling, it's still going to pick up the alarm. Okay? Smoke, on the other hand, goes up first because it's hot. That's why we want smoke detectors on the ceiling. If the smoke detector was down here plugged into the wall, when would it go off?
When the whole room goes.
When the whole room is full of smoke and it's too late. Okay? You just told me I had a low battery. It said a low battery. All right. Who wants a little fire extinguisher and you squeeze and make your hand strong? Let's see. Let's see who's going to get this one. This is an easy one. Which astronaut in 1962 circled the Earth three times in Friendship 7, then later became a U.S. Senator, and returned to space in 1998? John Glenn. All right, how about we do this? I heard John Glenn there.
Cold, right?
Say you want.
You get cold? You want the other one? Anybody say John Glenn over here? I heard him. There you go. Name a man who hosted a long-running variety show from 1948 to 1971.
Oh, that's easy.
1971 was the end of the show. Possibly went a little longer than that. No.
Ed Sullivan?
Ed Sullivan. I guess nobody watched them, huh? I never watched them. When he went off the air, I was 1 year old. Once in a while, you can make sure it runs. Alrighty. So smoke detectors again. If you have any concern with your smoke detector, if you have a new smoke detector and you pick up a new one at the store, you want to have it installed, if you don't have anybody to give you a hand, feel free to call the fire department. We'll send somebody down there, we can install it for you. If you got new batteries you need them replaced, we'll replace those batteries for you, okay? Just feel free. I got a paper at the end I'll pass out. It's got the business number for the fire department on there that you can call. It doesn't affect our emergency lines or anything.
I have a question, what about the electric? What about the electric ones?
Okay, the electric ones, like I said, if you're, like say, in an apartment building, you're gonna have a hardwired system. If you have a hardwired system in your house, same thing, the detector's gonna need to be replaced every 10 years. Okay? Yeah, every 10 years. If you have a problem with the detector, a lot of times, detectors get faulty. Okay, it's like anything else, it's a piece of equipment, it's like a car. You know, it works today, it doesn't work tomorrow. And if you have a hardwired system, the only difference between hardwires and battery operated is typically when one sounds, they're all sounding. So if your smoke detector goes off in the basement, you're going to hear it on the 3rd floor as well. Whereas with the battery type, you need to wait for the smoke to go from one room to the next to set those detectors off. Okay? Hardwired detectors are good. Again, if someone's hard of hearing, we can't hear that smoke detector going off in the basement because we're sleeping on the 2nd floor. The hardwired is going to set them all off at once. Okay? I gotta kill this lady right here. Now, with like a system that, let's say, here at Council on Aging, okay, this system is tied in with the fire department. So, on what's called a radio box system. So when the alarm goes off, it sends a signal by an antenna on the building to the fire station, and it'll come up Council on Aging with the address, and it'll tell us exactly where the smoke detector, what the problem is. It'll say smoke detector, office area, 1st floor. It might say heat detector, kitchen area, whatever. So we already know what the problem is. So when we get here, we can go and see where that is. Now, if the smoke detector is gone faulty, it's going to send a signal to the station. And when they come, they can look on the panel and say smoke detector number 27 is faulty, and then the alarm company can come and put a new one in. Okay? At home, if you're concerned about the smoke detector, you have a hardwired system, just contact your electrician, whoever put your system in. If you're not too sure, just look at the phone book, find a local electrician, have them come over and take a look at the system and see what the problem is with the detector. Okay? I think I was able to shut her up. Okay. Escape plans. This is another important thing. The United States has one of the highest death rates by fire in the world. Okay, in the world. So we think everywhere we go, we see exit signs, we see smoke detectors, okay? We have fire doors, but yet people still die in fires. Most people who die in fires die at home, the building they're most familiar with. They're not dying at the Council on Aging while they're playing bingo. They're not dying at the mall while they're shopping, okay? It's the building that they're most familiar with, okay? Because they didn't have a plan for escape. Okay, I haven't been in anybody's house here. I don't know where your front door is, I don't know where your back door is, I don't know where anything is, okay, in your house. You know where it all is. You may have lived there your entire life or multiple years. Okay? But we need to react quickly when that fire alarm sounds. We can't always assume it's a false alarm. The alarm sounded right now from this building. What are we going to do?
Get out.
Get out and get out. Done. We're not going to, but you can go to a restaurant tonight and guarantee you, if the fire alarm goes off, this is what everybody's going to do. Right? Let's see what everybody else is going to do. Should we get up? Should we get out? What should we do? They're not getting up. They're not getting up. What's that fire alarm telling you?
Get out.
There could be a fire. Just because it's not in the room you're sitting in doesn't mean there's not a fire somewhere else in that building. Okay, if the fire alarm sounds, get up and get out. If you're at a restaurant, stand outside, wait. If everything's all clear and if, whatever it is, you go back in. Okay? If the place burns down, well, you got your meal for free. I'm probably not going to ask you to pay for it. Okay? But if it's an inconvenience, they may comp you the meal, you go back in, as we're sorry for the inconvenience, here's a gift certificate, come back for another meal. If you're at the movie theater, the fire alarms go off, the movie stops, the lights go on, everybody goes out. If it's not like right at the end of the movie, you're going to get some free tickets to come back for another movie. When the fire alarm goes off, get out. Okay? At home, we need to make sure that all of our exits are able to be used as exits. We need to make sure we can work around our abilities. Okay? If someone is in a wheelchair, if someone uses a walker, okay? If we have a long set of stairs, if it's winter time and something's not shoveled yet, we need to keep all those things in mind when we make our escape plan. When we make an escape plan, what we basically want to do is we want to practice getting out all of our alternate ways out of our house. Okay? If you normally go out the front door every time you go out, well, you know that that's what you're going to use. How about the back door of the garage? When's the last time you opened that door? Who knows? This thing's been locked for years, we never use it. Maybe you have to use that tonight in a fire? Possibly. Make sure you're able to unlock it. Make sure if it's an old deadbolt with the key that you used to use the key on the inside, which you can't get those anymore. Okay, they have to have a knob. But sometimes they have the key, and maybe the key's missing, and that door's locked. Are you going to be able to use it tonight in a fire? No, it's not an exit. You want to know now when you make an escape plan. You want to practice and make an escape plan out of your house. Know all your alternate ways out. We've done one here at the Council on Aging. If there's a fire, which doors to go out? If the door's blocked, which one you're going to go out? We're going to go out the back door. They have that plan in effect. Your pamphlets will explain it, and I have more information on it as well on coming up with an escape plan. We do this in the elementary schools. It's actually a homework assignment for them. We spend an entire day talking about how to make an escape plan, and then for homework, they actually have to draw a map, a floor plan of their home, showing all their exits, their meeting place outside where everybody's going to go, make sure everyone gets out safely, the location of all their smoke detectors and carbon monoxide detectors, okay? And then the following week they bring it in, and then we go over their plan, okay? And come up with ideas and say, well, you had your meeting place in the backyard, maybe you should have it in the front yard, so when the fire department pulls up, we can see everybody's out. So we'll talk about the plan. So they all have an escape plan from their home, just by doing that homework assignment. So again, there's pamphlets on that, you'll be getting some of those. That's a good project to do. You get some grandkids that come over or something and say, hey, let's make an escape plan. They may have already done it at school for their own home. Okay? They may already be an expert on that. Okay, so use them, and then it makes it fun for everyone, because the kids can help out, and then you get them to help out in making that escape plan. So, if possible, make sure you know 2 ways out of every room, 2 ways out of the house. Okay, again, if we went to a restaurant tonight, and there was a fire, there's actually a fire in the building, everybody's getting out. Which way are they going to go? They're going to use the fire emergency exits? Which way are they going to go? No. The way they came in. The way they came in. You can remember about 10 years ago now, the Station nightclub fire war killed 100 people?
That was terrible.
Okay, in a room about the size of this? Okay. From a fire education standpoint, it was great that somebody was there videotaping that concept. Because you can see when the fire alarms went off, okay, that strobe right there, you know why that light flashes when it goes off? Why does that light flash? So deaf people know that there's a fire alarm going off. Or if it's too loud, we know. Well, you can see those going off, and people are still dancing and nobody's reacting right away. So there's the first thing. The fire alarm went off and nobody's doing anything because everybody's seeing what everybody else is doing. Then when they realize that there's a fire, everybody's heading for that front door. And in the video, you can see the emergency exits in the corner, and no one's using them.
No, they use it, but the bombs stop a lot of people.
And that's it. It's just lack of education, lack of knowing your surroundings. Okay, so there you go. You have the first hand, lack of education, lack of knowing your surroundings. A couple of weeks ago, I went to New York to speak for another group that I'm involved with, and I brought my son with me. Okay, we stood in a hotel in Danbury, Connecticut. What's the first thing we did when we got to the hotel?
Check for all the fire exits.
We counted how many doors from our room down to the door that led outside. Okay, why? Because when you get out of that hotel room that you're not familiar with, and you get in that hallway, and the smoke is down to here, where are the exit signs? All right, so forget it, they're gone. Now you look down that hallway, what do you see all the way down?
Every door
Doors. Which one leads out? Well, we went out of the room, we counted. 1, 2, 3. The fourth door was the stairwell. Takes 2 seconds to do that. And if there was a fire, and he was in his room and I was somewhere else, I know he's going to count 4 doors and he's outside. I don't care where he is outside, as long as he got out. Okay? We need to be aware of our surroundings. We go to a new building, we go to a new restaurant, it takes 2 seconds to look around and see where everything is. Be prepared. That's all I can ask, be prepared. It's not going to guarantee that you're going to get out safely, but you're more prepared now than someone who's not aware of their surroundings. Okay, know your local emergency number. What's the number we dial in emergency? 911. Okay. When you dial 911, it's answered at the police department. That's the primary answering point. Once they determine what the call is, if you're calling saying, I have a fire or I need an ambulance, they're going to immediately transfer that to the fire department. The fire department is going to take the medical calls, they're going to take the fire calls. Okay, if it's a fire call, we're going to dispatch the fire equipment. If it's a medical call, we're going to dispatch the ambulance, and all of our dispatchers are trained and certified to provide emergency medical information so we can help you help the patient while we're on the phone. So if you're at your friend's house and your friend falls and they think they broke their leg, or someone's thinks they're having a heart attack or they're having difficulty breathing, the dispatcher is going to be able to give you information to help the patient out while the ambulance is getting there. Okay? Someone's not breathing, we can give CPR directions over the phone, okay, to help that person before they get there. Okay? So, I don't want to spend a lot of time on 911. We know it. 911 is the number we dial. Okay? The old regular 7-digit phone number, 672-1231, that will still work if you need fire. Sometimes people have the phones with the phone numbers programmed in, and every once in a while we still get a call from somebody who still has that 30-year-old phone that's still programmed in. All those numbers will still work. Okay? But 911 will give you access, and it gives us information as to where you're calling from. So if you pick up 911, your phone right now and dial 911 from home, it's going to say right on the screen, it's going to come up with your name, your address, your telephone number, all the information is going to be there. We already know where you are before you even say a word. However, lots of people have gotten rid of their home phone and use a cell phone instead. This cell phone is not connected to anything. It's not connected to the street. If I dial 911 right now from the director's office, it's going to come up on the screen, Council on Aging, Ocean Grove Avenue. It's going to be there. It's connected to the telephone pole. But if I dial it right now from here, it's going to come up at the fire department or the police department on the screen. The nearest cell phone tower is going to pick it up. That's going to be the address. So we can have an address that says 610 GAR Highway, which is that giant cell phone tower across the street from Target. It could be a cell phone tower in Rehoboth. It could be a cell phone tower in Fall River. It could be a cell phone tower in Providence. All depends on what cell phone tower picks it up. Guess what? We don't know where you are. Okay? You need to be aware of your surroundings. Okay? It can be found out. They can use the primary answering point can use GPS to figure out where your phone is and get to your area. Okay? So we kind of know where you are. Okay? But it's important to know if you're using your cell phone where you are so you can give that information. When you're at your house, we already know your address. It's there on the screen. Okay? But if you're using the cell phone, be advised that it's going to pick up at a cell phone tower. The state police may answer that phone call, then transfer it to Swansea, and that police has to transfer it to the fire department. You can see there's little bits of delay as it goes. Okay? And the last fire safety message, okay, again, along with the escape plans, plan your escapes around your abilities. I see a couple people here in wheelchairs. You may have a walker, you may have a cane. If that's the case, you want to make sure that those paths to your exits are kept what? Clear. Okay, clear. Enough room that you don't have to get around everything. So if you need to get out of there in haste, you need to get out of there quickly, you want to make sure that you have a clear path to your doorways, that there's nothing that's going to obstruct your pathway. Okay? Just like here. All the exits are kept clear. We don't see a bunch of garbage barrel right near the door or anything like that. Those are all kept clear, so if we had to get out of here quickly, we can. However, at home it's different. I mean, this place is kept up. There's a maintenance person, the fire department does inspections, and so on. We make sure those hazards don't exist. But at home, it's your responsibility to make sure you keep those exits clear and then keep those hazards away. We're going to talk more about that in the next section here when we talk about tripping and falling. So any questions on any of the fire safety topics? Don't worry about it, because like I said, it's in your pamphlet. The other material that I'll hand out to you, you can read all this stuff at your leisure. Any questions you have, any fire safety concerns or questions, feel free to call the fire department. Okay? Again, we're open 24 hours a day, and if you need somebody to come down and change that battery, give us a holler. We'll be more than happy to run down there and do that. All right, I'm going to give you one more quick trivia question before we move on to the fall, and then we'll zip through that and we're done. All right, name, you got to raise your hand so that way it is fair. And you're going to name all three of them. So name the three rock and roll musicians killed February 3rd, 1959, the day the music died. Who were the three people that died in the plane crash?
I don't know all three, I definitely
Come on, I know you know all the songs.
Buddy Holly.
All right, one of them was Buddy Holly.
Patsy Cline.
No, Patsy Cline wasn't there.
Richie
Valens.
Richie Valens.
Who's the other one?
The big one.
The Big Bopper. All right, so, all right, so I
Hey,
got
you, Joe?
the Big Bopper. You got the pen. And then Richie Valens is over here, right?
Yeah, go on right for the change. Thank you.
I don't remember that day, I wasn't around yet. All right, now, fall information, we'll get through this now, and then we'll
You can go this way.
have for questions or what have you. All right, let's get to this next slide here. Okay, again, the graphic is small on the screen, but again, we can see that non-fatal injuries from falls require help from a medical professional, whether that's you go to the doctor, you call the ambulance. You can see at age 75 plus how far that jumps up when you fall and need medical help as a result of that fall. Okay? Starting at the very beginning here. Okay, by age group, 12 to 17, 18 to 44, 48 to 64, up to 74, and then 75 plus, you can see that it jumps up. Okay? Most people your age are more worried about falling and breaking their hip than having a fire in the house. Okay? Because we know a lot of people who have fallen and have broken their hips or broken a bone and was hospitalized or had to be transported to the hospital. Okay? Not a lot of us know people whose house burned completely to the ground. Okay? But it happens. The older population group is where we see these high numbers, not just in fires, but in falls. It's impossible to prevent a fire, it's impossible to prevent falls. They're going to happen. However, we can prevent the amount of how fast they happen or how they happen by knowing some of the hazards. So if you went home tonight and you changed your batteries in your smoke detector because of what we did today and there was a fire in your house tonight and you got out safely, did we get the point across?
Yes.
Yes. Okay? If you went home tonight and you spilled some water on the floor while you were cooking dinner and you wiped up immediately and prevented, forgetting about it and walking over and slipping and falling, did we prevent an injury? Yes, but it can still happen, okay? So, me sitting here telling you is not going to, make sure that nobody's going to have a fire and nobody's ever going to fall again. No, we're making it aware and becoming a little bit more educated on it. So, with the falls, the first one, and that's going to be on the pamphlet there, the yellow pamphlet, is exercise regularly. And I know here at the Council on Aging, and when I go to the bank, I pick up the little newsletter there that they have at the bank. I always see what's going on. There's lots of different activities. There's things like bingo and music and art and things like that. But then I see different clinics that comes in, people that come in and talk about different health things, exercise and so on. And when you go to your doctor, you hear from them as well. Okay, it's important to keep fit. Okay, I don't mean everybody needs to run out tomorrow and join the gym and stop lifting weights and run on a treadmill every day. But we need to do some type of exercise to keep our body in motion, to keep things moving properly, so that way, if we do have a trip or a fall, our body's a little bit more prepared for it. Okay, exercise will help you build strength and improve your balance and your coordination. You want to ask your doctor what is the best exercise for you. I have a booklet that I'm going to pass out to you that the Centers for Disease Control passes out, part of one of their fall prevention programs. And in that booklet, it's a really nice booklet, is a lot of easy to do exercises. Most of the exercises are easily done off of like a chair, okay? And I don't know if you probably may have done them here before, okay? Where you stand on the back of the chair, and it might be as simply as lifting a leg up, holding 10 to 15 seconds, do the next one. And the book is really good because it gives you a lot of different exercises, from really basic to a little bit more intense exercises. But when you look through that book, if that's something you think you want to do, check with your doctor first. They're the best person, the best qualified person to tell you how to exercise. Okay? I'm not going to tell you how to exercise. I'm not certified to tell you how to exercise. I'll tell you you need to, but you need to check with your doctor the best way that's going to work for you. Because everybody has a different ability and a different threshold when it comes to exercise. I'll just give you an example of this. This is the book. I'll pass them out at the end. It's a really substantial booklet. And it gives lots of very basic types of exercise to a little bit more advanced stuff.
I need one of them, Richie.
I'll give you one. Everybody's going to get one. And if I don't have enough for everybody here, don't worry. I have about 1,000 of them at the fire station, but they're very heavy, so I didn't bring a big giant box of them. So everybody will get one. Again, that exercise is simply You know, if it's taking a walk each day, if you go around the block, okay, and if that's what you're doing for your exercise, great. It's better than sitting down and not doing anything. Maybe you're sitting on the chair and you're doing a little kind of a weight therapy. Maybe you're lifting a couple of 1 pound weights or something like that to keep your arms in check. Okay, those are all good, easy exercises. Again, sit down with your doctor or your physical therapist or whatever and say, hey, what's the best thing? Bring that book with you. Say, I like this exercise here. Is this something that I can do at home? And work with them to come up with what's going to work out best for you. Because we know exercise is important. You're not going to be hearing from your doctor all the time, right? Exercise and diet. Exercise and diet. Okay, number 2. Take your time. Take your time. This is another one. A lot of times we see falls, they happen in places like the bedroom, the bathroom. Okay, we got out of bed, we get up a little too quickly, right? We get that little lightheaded. All right? Hopefully, we fall back onto the bed. We don't fall forward and hit our head on the dresser. Okay? It's happened?
Right on your face.
Yep, falling on your face. Same thing in the kitchen. Remember, we said like a spill on the floor. You want to wipe that up. You don't want to fall down, hit yourself on the cabinet or something like that. When you get out of bed, you're getting out of the chair, okay? Take a couple seconds. If you're relaxing in the chair, you're watching a TV show, 45 minutes, an hour or so, and somebody rings the doorbell. You don't want to just jump out of that chair and get over to the door. Take time. Lean up out of the chair a second. Let your body get used to all that blood that was all settled in there. Get everything moving again. Get up slowly. Make sure you got your balance. Then walk over to the doorway. You get out of bed in the morning. Swing your legs off the side of the bed. Let them hang down for a few minutes. Get that blood moving around. Sit up. Get your hands on the bed. Everything's good. Get up. I do the same thing. I get up in the morning. You just get out of bed. Just take your time getting up. That's all. They don't need to rush out. So sit a moment before you get up. Again, when you're relaxed, your blood is kind of cooled down in your body. You want to make sure that when you get up, you don't get up too fast. You get that lightheadedness, right? It happens a lot. Getting off the toilet. That's another one too. We get calls for that a lot of times. And when someone is on the toilet and they get up too fast and they fall, what's usually right in front of the toilet? Sink or the bathtub. Okay? And right there. All right? So again, take your time. Take your time. A lot of these fall messages is going to be a lot about taking your time, being careful. Okay? Stairs, stairwells. Keep stairs and walking areas clear. You want to remove any obstructions. You have extension cords, shoes. Sometimes people store things on their stairwell outside, a plant pot out on the front step, something like that. Make sure that that's not in your way, where you're going to go out and trip on it. If you get the newspaper or magazines, some people will take the newspapers and they stack them up on the side of the chair there until recycling day, and then they throw them all out at once. Okay? Once they build up, now you're building up, a chance of something to trip on. Not only that, it's also a fire hazard as well. We talked about, someone smoking or a space heater, and you have all that paper piled up there. Now you have fuel. Okay, you have a fire hazard there. You're done reading the paper? Put it in the recycling bin. Get rid of it right away. Okay, you eliminate that fuel hazard, that fire hazard, eliminate a trip hazard. The magazines on the side of the couch, you don't pay attention. They tip over, they slide out, then you get up, you step on them, off you go. Okay, so make sure your stairwells are clear. And along with the stairwells, that's at one other side, I'll go back there, is lighting. At nighttime, you want to make sure that your stairwell is well lit. If you have a long set of stairs that comes from the second floor down to the first floor, put a night light, one at the top, one at the bottom, or leave a light on in the hall. Something to illuminate that stairwell, so that way if you have to go downstairs, whether it's to use the bathroom, whether it's to get out because the smoke detectors are sounding, whatever it is, you want to make sure that you can easily get up and down those stairs. Good idea to have a night light in the bathroom. If that nature calls at 2 in the morning, you want to go in there, you have a little bit of light to check where you're going. We have night lights in our house. We keep them on at night. There's one in the kitchen, there's one near the bathroom. Okay, just that little bit of extra light that we need. The other time, 2, 3 o'clock in the morning, sometimes I'm jumping up and heading out to a fire. Okay, because Swansea has a volunteer fire department. A lot of the firefighters leave their house to go to a fire. 2 o'clock in the morning, their pager goes off. They got to get up, and out they go. Okay, and then number 5, we're almost done here. Okay, non-slip mats you're using in the shower, in the bathtub. You want to make sure you have something that keeps you from slipping and sliding. Maybe buy those rubber mats with all those suction cups on the bottom. You can stick them down. okay, or they sell those little rough stickers that you put down to keep you from slipping. Also, if you have a set of stairs that's slippery, you can get those non-slip grips too that go on the stairwell to keep you from sliding. Okay, and again, one more other thing with stairs, with winter time, we want to make sure that we keep ice and snow off the stairwell. Not just for you going down the stairs or coming in the house, but in the event of an emergency, let's say the ambulance has to come and they need to get into the house, you need to want to make sure you have that clear for them to come in. If you're not able to shovel the snow yourself, get a local kid in the neighborhood, hire them. It's going to be worth it to give them $10 or $15 to keep that walkway clear if you need it. Also in the bathroom, you do things like grab bars. Okay, there's companies that you can contact to install those. There are different programs to come and install things like grab bars to help you get up in the tub, or something to hold on, maybe on the side of the toilet. You see them in public restrooms. We'll have them in handicap accessible bathrooms. Okay, and number 6 on your pamphlet was uneven surfaces. Uneven surfaces are things like rugs and carpets. I remember when I was a kid, my grandmother used to have those big, thick, braided rugs. They were like that thick. You know, they were impossible to wash. I know they were washing. I think you just use them for 20 years and throw them out. But they were like that thick. And as a kid, I tripped on them all the time. All the time. And then, you know, every once in a while, she'd turn it upside down so it would flatten out again. You know, so it was safe for like a month, and then it has to start again. So if you have rugs like that, you know, with a little bit of thickness, okay, make sure that, you know, you're able to easily, you know, lift your legs up as you're walking there. If not, get rid of those and put a thinner one down. Okay. Again, stairwell should be well lit. I mentioned that when we talked about keeping your stairwell clean. Make sure you can see all the stairs easily. All it takes is missing one step, and down we go. It doesn't have to be a long set of stairs. It can be one step coming off from a room. Okay, that's all you need to trip and fall. And then our last, shoes. Okay, shoes are important. I see a lot of people here wear very comfortable shoes, whether it's like a slipper type shoe with something with a grip, sneakers. Again, this is a good one to talk with your doctor about. Say, hey, doc, what's the best type of shoe for me? Everybody's a little bit different. If you walk normal and have no problems with getting around, they're gonna, you know, you might say a good regular athletic type sneaker would be good. Sometimes people who are diabetics wear certain types of shoes. Okay, again, that's something that your doctor can recommend. Okay, so make sure you talk with them about proper shoe wear and what's the best thing. If you're going out, you know, to a wedding or something like that, a lot of times people want to wear some fancy shoes. That's fine. Put a pair of sneakers on until you get there. You can always change it when you get there, you know, while you're doing your dinner or whatever, and then change when you leave. So when you walk into the parking lot, you don't have the big 6-inch heels on there. You got something, you know, nice and comfortable. Okay. So your fall prevention pamphlet covers the information we just talked about. This booklet covers more, and then I have more pamphlets on fall safety as well. So does anybody have any questions on any of the fall stuff? Okay, again, almost all that fall stuff revolves around taking your time. Take your time. No need to be in a rush. Okay?
What happens if you fall and you call 911? You can't get to the door to open. What the hell they do when they get there?
Okay, a couple things you can do. Here's how you can be a little bit proactive and be ready for that. Okay? Contact them if you have a neighbor nearby. Give them a key. Okay?
Okay, my neighbor has my key.
Give a neighbor a key, and then let the fire department know, or the police department know, because in our site right there, when the call comes up, the address comes up, it'll get right in there. The neighbor at number 175 has a key. Or tell them, my neighbor, next door neighbor has the key. Okay? That's one thing you can do. You can hide a key outside that you can let the fire department or police department know about. Say, I have a key hanging in the garage above the, you know, the window or whatever. Let us know, and then we can relay that information. And we do it privately. We do it by telephone. We don't come over the air where everybody with a scanner can hear that. We're going to say, call the fire department, call the office. They're going to call and tell them, hey, listen, there's a key inside the mailbox or wherever it is. Okay? Be prepared now for that. We have a lot of times. Plenty of times the ambulance calls us and says, we need a fire truck because we got to go in there and break in. Okay? Be ready now by getting it takes, you know, a couple dollars out of a key maybe in the store, and then give one to a neighbor. The other thing too is you can have a lockbox. You can buy those at a home improvement store. You can mount it outside with a combination on it, and then you can undo the combination and the key is in there. Okay? So, any other questions? I'm going to lay those pamphlets out. I'm going to pass them out to you. You'll get this book here, and Okay, you can tuck everything right in there and take it home, read it at your leisure time. Okay, and again, I'd be more than happy to answer any questions. I'll be hanging around for a bit. Any concerns, it falls, or with your fire safety, you want something taken care of, something looked at, feel free to call the fire department. Again, we'll go out there and change the battery in your smoke detector for you. Okay, if you think there's something that's a hazard, let us know. We'll be more than happy to go out and take a look at it. It's not going to cost you anything.